Let us start with the milestone almost no finance channel talks about properly because it is not sexy. $10,000 in invested assets, not in your checking account, not in a car, invested. Here is why this number matters more than most people realize. According to Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances data, the median American household holds less than $5,000 in liquid savings. The bottom 50% of Americans collectively own roughly 2% of the country's wealth. So when you cross $10,000 in actual invested assets, index funds, retirement accounts, real productive assets, you have statistically separated yourself from the financial behavior of half the country. That is not motivation, that is math. But here is what nobody tells you about the $10,000 line. It is not the money that changes you, it is the identity. Behavioral finance researchers, including work cited repeatedly by Morgan Housel in The Psychology of Money, have documented something called the first stake effect. Once you have skin in the game, your decisions begin to filter through a new question. Does this protect or grow my stake? You stop buying lottery tickets. You start reading expense ratios. You notice fees you used to ignore. If this is landing, save this video. You will want to come back to this when you are ready to act, because the next milestone is where the real shift happens. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner at Berkshire Hathaway for over 40 years, said something at a 1990s shareholder meeting that has been quoted thousands of times since, and for good reason. He said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it. I do not care what you have to do if it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that was not purchased with a coupon. Find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit." This is not motivational fluff. Munger was describing a mathematical reality. Let me show you exactly why. At a 7% average annual return, which is roughly the long-run real return of the S&P 500 after inflation, $100,000 generates $7,000 a year just by existing. That is roughly $580 a month appearing in your portfolio without you lifting a finger. For most people, that is more than they were able to save out of their paycheck in the first place. Here is the part that breaks people's brains. Go from 0 to 100,000 at 15% savings rate on a $50,000 salary. It takes most people roughly 11 to 13 years. To go from 100,000 to 200,000 at that same savings rate, with compounding, it takes about 5.5 years. From 200,000 to 300,000, under 4. Each subsequent 100,000 arrives faster than the one before it, because your money is now hiring more money. This is what Munger meant by ease off the gas. Not stop, not relax. He meant that the marginal effort required per dollar of growth drops sharply after the 100,000 line. Before the line, you are the engine. After the line, your portfolio is the engine and you are the fuel injector. And here is the part most people get completely wrong. They treat the first 100,000 as the goal. It is not the goal. It is the entry fee. The actual game starts after you pay it. Now we get to the milestone everyone talks about and almost nobody understands correctly. $1 million in invested net worth. Here is the statistic that should stop you cold. According to multiple Federal Reserve datasets cross-referenced with studies from Spectrum Group and Knight Frank's Wealth Report, roughly 8 to 10% of American households hold a net worth of $1 million or more, including home equity. Strip out home equity and look at investable assets only, and that number drops closer to 5 or 6%. So becoming a millionaire by investable assets puts you in roughly the top 1 in 20 households in the wealthiest country on earth. But here is what changes at $1 million that nobody explains properly. At a 7% real return, $1 million produces approximately $70,000 per year in passive growth. The median American household income, according to the Census Bureau, is approximately $74,000. Read that again. At $1 million invested, your money is earning roughly what the median full-time worker in America earns by working 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. This is the moment a financial life quietly inverts. Up until this point, your labor was the primary engine and your capital was a side gig. After $1 million invested, your capital is the primary engine and your labor becomes optional. Step by step, here is how documented millionaires actually got there, based on the research Thomas Stanley compiled in The Millionaire Next Door and updated by his daughter Sarah Stanley Fallow in The Next Millionaire Next Door. Step 1. They lived on less than they earned, consistently, for 20-plus years. The median first-generation millionaire in Stanley's data spent less than their neighbors who earned the same income. Step 2. They automated investing, not stock picking, not crypto. Boring, broad market index funds and tax-advantaged accounts maxed out year after year. Step 3. They avoided what Stanley called status indicators. The average self-made millionaire in his dataset drove a car that was more than 3 years old and had never paid more than $41,000 in today's adjusted dollars for an automobile. Step 4, and this is the one most people miss, they kept earning and investing past the first million. Because that is when the math gets ridiculous. Let me give you a documented case that proves all 3 milestones in one life. Ronald Reed. Gas station attendant and part-time janitor from Brattleboro, Vermont. He died in 2014 at age 92. When his estate was opened, his neighbors and family discovered something that made national news, covered by the Wall Street Journal, CNBC, and Forbes. Ronald Reed had a net worth of approximately $8 million. He never earned more than a modest blue-collar wage in his life. He drove a second-hand Toyota Yaris. He cut his own firewood into his 80s. He stapled his coat together when it tore, and he left $6 million to his local hospital and library. How did he do it? Documented across multiple interviews with his attorney and financial advisor after his death. He saved aggressively from his earliest paychecks. He hit roughly $10,000 in invested assets in his 30s. He crossed $100,000 in his 40s, holding individual blue-chip stocks, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, JP Morgan, for decades and reinvesting every single dividend. By his 60s, he was a millionaire. By his 80s, compounding had taken over so completely that his portfolio was generating returns measured in the hundreds of thousands per year on autopilot. He did not have a high-paying job. He did not inherit. He did not start a business. He hit 3 milestones in order, refused to sell, and let time finish the work. Drop in the comments. Which of the 3 milestones are you standing at right now? The first 10,000, the first 100,000, or pushing toward the first million? Be specific. The more honest you are with yourself, the faster you move. CTA 1213 Min. If this breakdown gave you a clearer map than 3 years of financial advice columns, do one thing for the channel, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a wealth breakdown like this one. This channel exists to give you the numbers nobody else will put on screen, the milestones nobody else will name, and the math behind why the first 100,000 really is the hardest one you will ever save. Outro 1315 Min. Here is the final thought I want you to sit with. Most people spend their entire working lives chasing income, bigger salaries, more hours, side hustles stacked on side hustles. And income matters, but income is rented. The moment you stop working, it stops. Net worth is owned. Net worth wakes up before you do. Net worth keeps earning while you sleep, while you take your kid to school, while you are stuck in traffic. 3 milestones I just walked you through, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, are not arbitrary numbers picked by a finance YouTuber. They are the inflection points where the math of your life changes shape. 10,000 changes your identity. 100,000 changes your velocity. 1 million changes who is actually working in your household, you or your capital. Pick the milestone in front of you. Stop measuring your progress against the 1-2 stages ahead. Win the one. If this hit, my breakdown of why your first $100,000 takes longer than the next 900,000 will make even more sense now. And it has the exact compounding math screen by screen. Watch that one next. The 3 net worth milestones that quietly rewire your financial life. Backed by Federal Reserve data, Charlie Munger's documented investing philosophy, and the real case of Ronald Reed, the gas station attendant who died with $8 million. In this WealthLogic breakdown, we cover the first $10,000 threshold that shifts your financial identity, the $100,000 Munger line where compounding starts doing the heavy lifting, and the $1 million mark where your capital begins outturning the median American worker. If you are serious about personal finance, investing, wealth building, financial freedom, and passive income, this is the milestone map nobody else will give you in plain numbers. Timestamps 0000, the milestone nobody talks about 00. 45, why these 3 numbers matter 01, 30 milestone 1. The first 10,000 03, 30 milestone 2. Charlie Munger's first 100,000 06, 30 milestone 3. The first million and the inversion 09, 30 case study. Ronald Reed's $8 million 12. 00 subscribe for the full wealth playbook 13. 00 the mindset shift that closes the loop. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for weekly net worth breakdowns, investing math, and wealth building case studies.